All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Morning. Good 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 morning, everybody. Good morning. Hey, I'll tell you what, it's a Monday morning. What can I say? Just glad to make another Monday. We are glad that you joined us. Kim is here, of course. Kim has been here.
How are you?
She's been here through thick and thin. She's been not feeling great, as you're well aware, in the last few weeks. But are you feeling okay today, Kim?
I think it's better. Yeah.
Good. All right.
Kim, how are you?
All right. Very, very cool. And Albert is back, everybody. Took a little hiatus.
Albert, thank you.
Because he was doing his real job. And now he's back doing his side hustle. But he doesn't treat it like a side hustle, right, Albert? You'll give us 100%?
110%. 110% to the bar that I've set.
That is the maximum percentage. Very, very well done. It is Monday, and so on Mondays we do Mark's Murder Mystery Monday with Courtney. Courtney will discuss, actually, the case in San Francisco of that tech executive who was originally thought to have been killed in a random murder in the city, just sort of a sense of lawlessness and violence that has overcome the city. But she and all of us, as we followed that case, soon realized, as details were revealed, that he was killed by someone who knew him well. And she's going to review some of those details as that segment gets underway, bottom of the hour. The Fox News Dominion case I will get to in a moment. They were sniffing around, it seems, according to insider reports from the Wall Street Journal, sniffing around to make a deal. That's the Dominion lawsuit, defamation suit. Most of you who are watching now are familiar with what that is. I do have my credibility glasses on for the Boston Marathon, everyone, which is just wrapping up. Here it is. Albert has put up the last couple of. There it is. The last. Yeah. So Albert, can you what can you tell us about the scene?
What can you tell us about the scene?
Who was it who won the Boston
prevent us
Marathon?
from getting copyright struck, I just played a very short 5-second video of the end.
Right.
But,
right.
Evans Chebet is the winner, and he's gone back to back winning the Boston Marathon.
Wow, how about that's not easy. Congratulations.
Where's he from?
Let me guess, Kenya? No?
I'm willing to bet my lunch he's from Kenya, but I could do.
What can you tell us about the scene?
The woman who won on the women's side is from Kenya. Helen.
Yep, Evans Chebet is also from Kenya. So they
beauty.
swept.
It's big day for the Kenyans.
They did sweep the Boston Marathon today.
Yeah. The third fastest time in race history. You may wonder, but you may be too polite to ask. How come the Kenyans win all the time?
What?
I'm not too polite to ask, and I looked into it. I put my Mark Thompson Show research team in motion.
Google it.
And it is indeed the case that the question has been asked. Why Kenyans always win marathons? I'm laughing because it's just a fact. There is a region in Kenya called the Rift Valley, and marathoners from all over the world go there to train before major races because so many from that region do move on to win marathons. Most Kenyan elite runners hail from the same ethnic groups known as the Kalenjins and the Nandis. The groups make up just 10% of the nation's population of 50 million, but bring in a majority of the nation's marathon medals. Internationally, Kalenjin runners have won close to 73% of all Kenyan gold medals.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's something going on. They passed on the passion for running across generations, turning this Rift Valley area into a mecca for the nation's elite long-distance runners. They train and live in a high-altitude area, they suggest. They have diet and constant motivation that helps propel them. There are books written on. There's a book called Running with the Kenyans. And they have, a perfect storm of elements is the quote, that come together in Kenya's Rift Valley region to make people there so strong at distance running. There's the location, the way of life, the environment. You have the altitude, the tough rural upbringing, and the fact that children run around everywhere. Kim was making that point before. They have to run around. And then there's the simple diet, lack of junk food, and the perfect running terrain, rolling hills, dirt roads all over the place, apparently. As a result, everyone who can run aspires to be a runner.
Oh.
There's also a question as to whether some genetics is involved and all the rest, but that's the story on Kenyans and why they do so well. I mean, it's a real... Well,
I can't imagine running for that long, Mark. It's like, I think Edward Lee here said in the comment section, 26.2 miles. That's way too long.
Yeah. Well, that's why not everybody does it. But I agree. It's even those charity runs, the 5K or whatever they are. What are the...
Like a 10K, 5K, yeah.
10K, I mean, those are rough.
I mean, even just running on a treadmill, just waiting for a mile to happen, it's very daunting. I feel like I've been running in place. Well, I am running in place, but it just feels like it takes forever.
Do you work out regularly, Albert?
Not as much as I should, but I do my cardio by playing sports, and then I do the lifting whenever I can. But I don't have enough focus to just run, so I just play sports as my cardio.
I used to play basketball?
Basketball, I play ultimate frisbee. That's my main sport that I play.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. My main sport is ultimate frisbee. I'm surprised you're not familiar with my ultimate frisbee history. Kim, do you do anything? Do you walk or do you do that thing on the treadmill thing? I've got one of those things that I never am on.
Elliptical?
Yeah, I chase children. It's called.
Yeah, that's true. That will keep you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, that's the deal on the. It literally just happened, which is why I mentioned it to you. I hadn't even planned to touch on the Boston Marathon, but it is happening, and of course, over the weekend was the anniversary of the bombing. That believe it's a documentary on Netflix right now, which speaks to how they sleuthed who the bombers were. I really want to see that. So, and. Guess the average mile for this marathon win today in Boston. Guess the average mile for this marathon win today in Boston. Whip around. What do we think was the average mile? What did they run on average, Albert? Do you have any sense of that? What's a good
usually
pace
it's
for
a
the
minute
mile?
per mile. That's like that was the old school standard.
Wow, a minute for a mile.
That's for the record. People have tried to aim for that, but I'm not sure.
And you can't possibly sustain. I mean, you're saying over a marathon?
Not for a marathon. So
yeah, you can't sustain that.
A little above that. Maybe 6 or 7 minutes, which also seems kind of insane. Maybe 8. You gotta pace yourself.
I was thinking yeah, I guess that's right. I was thinking somewhere in the 4s. You know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know what it is. Look at that. 2:35 says Steve. Here are the guesses coming in from the chat. You can, even if you're watching in replay, you can guess in the comments section. 4-minute mile, says John. 7.5 minutes, says commentator. 3:50, says Yowza Yowza. RJ says 5 minutes. What is the average time for a mile?
I am doing the Google search here. I'm seeing the average of average people. I don't know about, we just talked about the Kenyans and, the winners of the Boston Marathon, but let me see if I can find their times.
Average Boston Marathon time. Come on, Albert. It's not that hard. Here it is. Don't make me get it before you, Albert. Damn it, don't do it. What, does somebody know the answer? Kim, how are you?
Well, I'm
Kim,
going to say it's not only the elite runners that, are at the top of the race.
Yeah.
It's also the runners at the back, right? So it's the average of the mile, correct?
Okay. Thank you for explaining it.
So I'm going to say 8 minutes.
The answer is somewhere between 3 and 4 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The average Boston Marathon finishing time. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that's not right.
That sounds a little crazy.
Yeah, that's the average. I'm sorry. That's the average finishing time. 3 hours and 45 minutes is the average, or more or less the average.
Oh, okay.
3:45. So that doesn't tell you the per mile time. I can't believe this. Albert, can you not get me this answer? Who are you?
Albert, thank you.
Yeah. Actually, I can very much believe that you cannot get me this answer. Kim,
What does
you,
it
though,
say?
I would have thought would get it.
Well, I thought you guys were looking for it.
Boston Marathon. I thought you guys were looking for it. Boston Marathon. All right, I'm going to...
Did it say 3.5 hours is the average time?
Yeah, 3. So you can do the arithmetic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then when you do it, what is it?
Well, let me do it first.
Okay.
Jesus.
Here's the mile pace you need to run at each marathon finish time.
8.01. 8 minutes a mile.
That sounds about right.
That's for
Does
3.5 hours divided by 26.2.
Wow. Very, very good, I have to say.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
Here is the pace per mile finish time. I'm looking at...
Edward, can you just comment back with your answer? Or did you have the answer, or did you want us to look up the answer for you?
Yeah.
Thank you for the $5, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. It'd be nice to actually have the definitive answer, because what I'm seeing is in order to run an under 2 minute, under 2 hours, and what was the winning time today?
It was like just over 3 hours. I think 3 hours and 5 minutes, something like that.
Okay, just
Edward
over
Lee
3
said
hours.
4 minutes and 48 seconds was the average pace for the winner today.
Okay. That would have put him... Okay.
Are you a runner, Mark? Is that why we have the interest in the...
No, I actually just saw them all just finishing, and I thought, oh, that's...
I said 3 hours. It's 2 hours and 5 minutes. Last year, he did win 2 hours and 6 minutes. So he did beat his time from last year.
I was just curious about it, to be honest. I absolutely have... I'm not a runner. I have I was a tennis player, and I have a lot of... As you might imagine, a lot of injuries related to my sports. My foot, I've got a foot problem, so even walking is difficult for me, although I do it, and I still, but it's, I'm always working through pain. But I just think it's fascinating, the discipline required. For all the reasons that Albert was mentioning, you just, you're so exhausted so early on in the process. You have to push through that feeling so many times. It's the discipline you need to work out to begin with, and you're having to renew that process and that discipline every few miles. It's inconceivable to me. It's very impressive. It really is.
I don't know how you teach that that kind of grit, the push through it situation, because every time a sport gets hard, my kids decide they don't like it anymore.
Right.
Like when it gets to that level where they're like, yeah, this is kind of a lot of work. They're like, no, thank you. So I don't know how you teach that, pushing through the pain, that, just the strength, to a mental strength to carry on.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a lot of focus. Like, it's just running. You're just in your thoughts. I think I just don't have the focus. I just, I'm just looking at things and not able to just run. I start thinking about my breathing and like, dude, is this normal breathing?
Right. You are supposed to focus on stuff like that, breathing, and they give you, I think, almost a mental checklist to work through it. I mean, you can think certain things, and that, for all of us, it's different too, right? Positive thoughts, or I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask, because it's all I can do to get off the couch and go into the kitchen and make an espresso.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I did want to tell you about this Dominion lawsuit real quick. The Dominion lawsuit is something that looks as though it's filled with some of the most embarrassing information on Fox News and Fox News's agenda to essentially call the election what it is, in their view, and that's stolen, right? So that was their view, that somehow they can sling that, and then they needed a logical A, B, C to it, and so they just hung this completely phony story about how the Dominion software was flipping top-of-ticket races from Trump votes to Biden votes. They just floated that, and they felt like, no, let's just run with that.
Sounds
Public's
good.
buying
That's
it.
That's plausible.
Sure. Yeah. And this is really, and in the new America, we all sort of silo our information, and we just become cranked up about an issue without really knowing the facts. We were spoon-fed whatever at Fox News Channel, and we move on. The new America permits that. In other words, no one's ever held to account. Maybe that would be a way to put it. And for that reason, Fox News just cranked it up, and they hit it harder, and they got Giuliani on, they got Mike Lindell on, and they had Sidney Powell. They had all this rogues gallery of crazies, right? I mean, just fire-breathing dragons of crazy. And
nothing says I trust the story like Mike Lindell and Rudy Giuliani. I mean, you trot those guys out, I'm thinking, oh, this has got to be for real.
I mean, it was good, but they screamed it loud enough. So anyway, it leads Law and Disorder for today.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Because on the eve of the trial and opening statements, the trial was abruptly delayed. It was to have started today. The high-stakes defamation trial against Fox News that Dominion was pursuing, supposed to begin today, abruptly delayed last night. In a stunning 11th-hour twist, this throws into question whether a settlement is in the works. The judge's statement didn't provide any explanations for the delay. And we find out so far, anyway, in the light of day on this Monday, that there has been no deal. Wall Street Journal sources say they want a deal. Fox does. If they don't get a deal, as you know, you end up with all of their guys. I'm talking about the Sean Hannitys of the world. You'll have Maria Bartiromo, even Rupert Murdoch. You'll have them taking the stand. Tucker Carlson. Now, this, I'll remind you, and for those who may not have followed this so closely, won't be a televised trial. Yeah, it's Delaware, which is where all these corporations are incorporated. So there's a whole, genius to that. It's all in Delaware, and these are very kind of old school rules that affect both the corporations that go on in Delaware from a business standpoint, and in this case, that affect court cases in Delaware. So the judge says no television, no recording devices of any kind. So you're not going to hear Sean Hannity admitting that these were lies. You're not going to hear Tucker Carlson admitting same, or Maria Bartiromo. So the insanity and, frankly, the humiliation that would accompany that, we're not going to hear. Now, it'll be in the court record. We'll have access to it, but we're not going to get those media moments. That's a huge win for Fox. But Delaware Superior Court Judge Eric Davis said today, just a few hours ago, that this delay in this Fox Dominion defamation suit is not unusual. He expects parties back on Tuesday to finish jury selection and start the trial. Quote, I made the decision to delay the start of the trial until tomorrow. It's a 6-week trial. Things happen. This is not unusual. This does not seem unusual to me. So there's no reference to encouraging the parties to settle or any of that. There was a lot of speculation. As I said, the Wall Street Journal reported last night that Fox was pushing for a last-second deal to avoid the trial. That's the Wall Street Journal is owned by Rupert Murdoch, of course, right? It's, you know, I'm going to just give you 60 seconds on this because I think it's sort of interesting, and maybe you'll agree. The question in these defamation trials is, as we're aware, and as was explained by David Katz and by David K. Johnson and many of the regulars here, you know, you have to prove that there was a deliberate effort on the part of, in this case, Fox News Channel, to put out something that they knew was a lie. So that's why we're seeing so much in the way of these private communications, which clearly reflect that they did know it was a lie. They knew it was a totally bogus story about the election being stolen, about the software being faulty, about, you know, Hugo Chavez, and there's just these overblown tales of Dominion software. It was real damage. I mean, let's face it, Dominion software has been damaged. I think it's indisputably the case. You know, their name, their brand has been damaged. But that's in the damage phase, right? They want $1.6 billion. Here would be the high ground for Fox. Look, we brought on Sidney Powell. We brought on Rudy Giuliani. We brought on Mike Lindell, blah, 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 all the rest of them. I mean, they were serving them up like short order chefs, these people who are ready to, you know, sling the BS, right? And then, of course, the hosts, Lou Dobbs, for example. I mean, these guys who are just, you know, they're like fastball pitchers of BS. They regurgitate that information, right? They hear the guests say something and they regurgitate it. Regurgitate would be a ding word. So, regurgitate, not regurgitate it. So, just dinging regurgitate, for the record. But I do want to be clear that it's probably their only high ground. In other words, we have these guests on. We can't be responsible for what they say. We're not saying it. They're saying it. The reality is,
nope.
I would say
they did the messages. They knew it was a lie. They knew it. So they put these people on the air knowingly, and they realized that what they were going to spew was false before they even got out there.
And so your answer to that is no. You knew exactly what these people were going to say. And that's also reflected in private communications and off-the-air conversations that are on recordings. We've heard them. So if that's your high ground, it's not high enough. It would appear that Fox News has real serious legal exposure here. And the best thing that happened to Fox News is that they got this judge ruling so that you won't actually be able to see Sean Hannity or hear Sean Hannity talking about the fact that he knew these were lies. Go ahead, Kim, sorry.
Oh, I had something really smart to say, and that is, liar, liar, your pants are on fire. Yeah, pretty much it.
You, sir, are a liar.
Right. Well, that's true.
Liar, liar, your pants are on fire.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Meantime, in Law and Disorder news, that's going on, the Dominion suit. Tesla is refusing to comply with a subpoena in a racism probe. You know, there have been many widely reported complaints and legal actions against Tesla. Racial minorities, women, disabled people, all of these things are talked about in this Tesla suit. They were sued in February of last year for running a racially segregated workplace. This is in Fremont, right, in the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area. In a filing in Alameda Court, where the suit is pending, the department said Tesla had agreed to provide a knowledgeable staff member to discuss its practices, but then claimed no one was available and that the department was abusing its powers by obtaining a court subpoena for the information to begin with. Tesla has rebuffed the department's repeated efforts to obtain compliance with uncontroversial investigative discovery requests that are important tools for a government agency to investigate allegations of a workplace discrimination, that the lawyer for the state said. So they're asking for a court order, and that court order was issued. So that's what's going on in the Tesla case. It seems to me, apparently, we reported this, what was coming out of that Tesla plant. It's a pretty ugly workplace.
Or so they say. I mean,
that's what and allegedly, exactly. Yeah. The Tennessee guardsman, this is a different Tennessee guardsman than the Tennessee guardman who leaked all the information. A 21-year-old Air National Guardsman out of Middle Tennessee is facing federal charges for allegedly submitting an employment application online to become, if you guessed hitman,
what?
Give yourself a ding. Yes. The U.S. Department of Justice says Josiah Garcia of Hermitage needed money to support his family. He allegedly found a website online that was created for murder-for-hire services.
My bad. I'm sorry.
He submitted an application indicating that he was interested in obtaining employment as a hitman. He's accused of following up by submitting other identification documents and a resume saying he was an expert marksman and had been employed in the Air National Guard since July of 2021. An undercover agent with the FBI began communicating with Garcia, who agreed to kill someone. How much do you think he agreed to kill someone for, everyone? What do you think the number was to pull the trigger to kill someone?
I'm going to say $5,000.
$5,000 is a winner. That's
is it
exactly
really?
How much? Yes.
I underguessed. Wow.
Yeah, $5,000. He
That
reportedly
seems...
met with the agent at a park in Hendersonville where he was arrested.
That's kind of suspicious, Kim. How do you know that?
Well, I know the going rate, people.
Well,
watch out.
Well,
who is having that conversation?
Apparently Kim is having that conversation at her place. That's the Tennessee guardman. The Louisville bank shooter was apparently seeking counseling for depression and anxiety. His family was working with him and working him through it, according to an Indiana-based lawyer who's friends with the shooter's father. That's about as much as they're comfortable sharing at this point, the guy said, but in a statement, the family said that he had mental health challenges and they were actively addressing those challenges. I mean, it seems as though that's pretty obvious. Violence over the weekend was pretty brutal. As you know, there were shootings, it seemed, almost everywhere, at graduation parties, at a mall. There were 13 mass shootings over the weekend. Is that right? I mean, like, no. It's pretty crazy. Meanwhile, the NRA had their meeting over the weekend, and they were all there. It was like the Hollywood Squares of firearms, and in the center square was Donald Trump. It's kind of sick to watch them look over all of their weapons while there's so much news being made of people being slaughtered, But do you have a little bit of him, Albert? Can we run a little bit of Trump? It was pretty, I watched a bunch of it. You could pretty much needle drop it. I mean, you can just turn it on anywhere and you can see kind of the message. And he digressed a lot into, my poll numbers are really good. Everybody else is weak. I mean, there's a lot of that. The election was stolen, he said.
God.
Never been anything like this. He said, if he had said, if we had gotten a Patreon membership for every time he had said there's never been anything like it, there would have, we'd be having, I would say, like 20 to 25
There's
more.
never been anything like this.
It's true. And he was saying it over and over, one way or the other. Go ahead. Sorry, Albert.
We're going to save it for a long time to come. It's under siege, but we're going to save it.
Go about
audio's
30.
kinda low.
Yeah, go 30
hard to
minutes
hear
in.
him.
Can you hear him? Like, oh, okay. Yeah, 32 minutes in is when he starts in on. If it's too low, the audio will.
If it's too low, I could just find some clips on Twitter.
Yeah. I wonder
Yeah,
if this is.
it's low here. I'll
too
grab
low.
a couple clips off Twitter.
Yeah. And I can't get this to sound any better, huh? No. Okay, never mind.
You know, suddenly I think it's okay if I can't hear Trump. Just like the mere tone of his voice and them playing God Bless the USA behind him. Blah.
Yeah. That's his new walk-on music. You know?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly.
God bless the USA that I tried to
Right.
destroy on January 6th.
And finally, an ex-Capitol police officer is sentenced after sending messages to a January 6th rioter. He learned the rioter was speaking to the FBI, and all of a sudden he began pinging him with messages. He said, "Take down the part about being in the building. They are correctly investigating, and everyone who was in the building is going to be charged. Just looking out." He was trying to warn one of the J6 rioters that he was going to be picked up. The J6 rioter he was warning was a guy named Jacob Hiles. He's a boat captain that he knew from Facebook. He reached out to him on Facebook and said, "I'm a Capitol police officer who agrees with your political stance." And then he said that other part about taking down the part about being in the building. So he was convicted for deleting the messages with Hiles after he found out that Hiles had been speaking with the FBI.
You know, they do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
Yeah, how about that? Pretty, the Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who handed down Riley's sentence, said it was shocking conduct for any member of law enforcement and was even worse for someone who served at the Capitol on January 6th. Riley apologized in court, said that he'd lost a lot of friendships over his actions. "The burden is overwhelming," he said. "The actions of January 6th have no place in our society." So he called his actions stupid and reckless. A lot of people are finding God on this, but then you find that they walk it back as they become celebrated on the campaign tours and all the rest. It's kind of wild, the transformation from courtroom, right, to, living room. So that's Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Still to come, I've got actually a couple more pretty high-profile pieces of news that come out of the courts, so I will give that to you in the next hour. I also wanted to mention there was a moment with a fan in the Clippers game, LA Clippers. We'll share that with you in the next hour as well. And Albert, you saw the Dubs drop one to the Kings. I mean,
It was a close game. I think there's a couple missed shots that we should have made, and I'm still feeling good about the Warriors.
All right. I don't know, NBA playoffs, I kind of like it. There were upsets. There were absolutely upsets in these first games. So
I kind of hibernate during the NBA season, and then when the playoffs happen, then I start watching hardcore.
Yeah, and that's not a bad plan because the playoffs last as long as the regular season. So I think
just the fourth quarter alone in NBA games lasts a couple hours.
Yeah, I mean, you could hibernate until the fourth quarter of all NBA games. So, but to see the ebb and flow of an NBA game to me is always interesting as well. All right, smash the like button.
Smashed it with your iron
smash
rod.
it like a boss. Come on, hit me a thumbs up.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
And what's happening? We've got a microphone issue? Okay, we'll attend to that. Courtney's Murder Mystery Monday next on The Mark Thompson Show.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
Yes, Courtney, please. We have processes, protocols, and standards. I'll get someone over there, too.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and let us start here in Alabama, where yet another mass shooting. This time, 4 people are dead, 28 injured after this shooting at a Sweet 16 birthday party over the weekend. It happened at a dance studio in the small rural town of Dadeville, northeast of Montgomery, Alabama. This comes after 2 people died in a shooting that was in Louisville on Saturday night. U.S. officials are now finally getting access to this man. He is Evan Gershkovich. He is a Wall Street Journal reporter who is being held in a Russian prison. U.S. Ambassador to Russia Lynn Tracy visited the journalist on Monday, more than 2 weeks after he was arrested on espionage charges. Tracy said in a tweet that Gershkovich is in good health and remains strong, called for his immediate release. There is a group of Republicans calling on congressional leaders to ban lawmakers from using TikTok. The group, led by Senators Tom Tillis of North Carolina and Dan Crenshaw of Texas, urged House and Senate leaders to change the rules to prohibit use of this Chinese-owned app. They claim TikTok is effectively spyware. Lawmakers are concerned that Chinese Communist Party members can use this data to spy on or to influence Americans. U.S. forces say a helicopter raid in northeast Syria resulted in what they're calling the probable death of a senior ISIS leader. The U.S. raid targeted an unnamed Islamic State leader and operational planner responsible for planning terror attacks in the Middle East and Europe. 2 other armed individuals were killed during this operation. So, probable death. They think they got him. They're not sure. A big to-do in Chicago over the weekend. The mayor-elect is condemning the hundreds of teenagers who, it looks like, took over the downtown area of Chicago. Several videos posted on social media show teens setting vehicles on fire and terrorizing bystanders as police tried to regain order on Saturday night. 2 teenagers were wounded after shots were fired. Several others needed treatment at hospitals. So that's kind of a big, a big thing going on there.
Mayhem, just
Chicago area,
Yeah,
a little mayhem. Why? What's a little mayhem among friends? I mean, why not? This is kind of a big thing, and I'd be interested to see. We'll get the PG&E picture up, but I'd be interested to see what your take is on this story, Mark and folks. Changes could be coming to what Californians pay for their electric bills. The state's 3 largest power companies want a fixed rate based on your income. So that includes, it's like paying taxes, right? That includes SoCal Edison, PG&E, and San Diego Gas and Electric. Those are the 3 biggest. Of course, PG&E here up in the Bay Area. But this is what they want. They all submitted a joint proposal to the Public Utilities Commission. Officials say the plan would reduce monthly payments for low-income customers. A decision is expected by next summer.
Well, I don't know. You're saying essentially it's a graded system based on your ability to pay.
Yeah. I mean, if you can afford it, then you pay more. And if you can't, then you pay less for the same service.
So you're not paying based on usage now. You're paying based on usage, and it's graded for your income? Is that what they're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So say you use $300 worth of electricity, or your bill is $300, use $300 worth of whatever. Based on your income, that $300 may inflate to, I don't know, $500. But if you don't make very much, then it's lower. I mean, I thought there was already a system in place where people that didn't have a lot of money or that met a certain threshold of income, or they had or disabilities or whatever, there's a program for people that there's a set rate where you don't have to pay.
If you are low income, you can apply for low income PG&E right now, says Karen D.
Right.
If you don't like this latest move by PG&E and the others. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I prefer always a voucher system. I like where along the lines maybe of what they're saying. I mean, you can apply for, low income PG&E rather than a low income PG&E rate. I'd rather everything be charged at the rate of usage, and then I'd rather people receive vouchers based on income or lack of ability to pay. You'd show economic need. That would be where I'd go down on this, but
Interesting. Well, we'll see how it all works out. I don't know if you've heard of what's going on with Army Hammer, but the Los Angeles District
Wait, hang on a second. Courtney, Army Hammer, your favorite.
Oh, Army, here he is.
She loves her Army family.
Courtney, no, Courtney. He lives a lifestyle that we may not participate in here.
That's not fake.
He's a little rough in the old bedroom.
No.
Yeah.
No. She's saying we watched the documentary together is what I meant. Okay.
The Los Angeles District Attorney's Office is reviewing Army Hammer's sexual assault allegations. That according to CNN. In 2021, a 24-year-old woman accused the actor of raping her in 2017. She told CNN in a statement she is severely traumatized by Army and feels disgusted that he's attacking her instead of admitting to what she alleges. All he has said about this is that he tends to live fast and rough, I think is what he said.
Wow, that's not much of a denial. I have to say that I watched the documentary. Was it a series that we watched? It was a couple of episodes with this Army Hammer thing, and it was very revealing for what it told you about the family, too. It wasn't just Army Hammer. It was fascinating, but didn't seem like a good dude. We kind of came down. Courtney's angry at me because I said she was a fan of the documentary. She's not a fan of Army Hammer. Yeah.
No, well, I'm sure she wasn't. There were moments where he was previously accused of asking a woman if he could dismember her or something, or cut off body parts.
That's a rough
allegations
first date
against
for sure.
him.
Yeah,
that he has some pretty sick and twisted things going on in there.
Yeah,
I'm Shadow Stevens.
No, it's not Shadow.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
From
anyway,
Army to the
continuing
bats, because in this case, I prefer the bats. Over about half of the 150 bat species in North America are under threat. That according to the State of the Bats report. Who knew there was such a thing? From the North American Bat Conservation Alliance. State of the Bats. They say 52% of the species are at risk. Climate change will affect up to 82% of those species over the next 15 years. The report also says bat deaths from wind turbines and white noise syndrome. They say it's a fungal disease. These are all the reasons the bats are checking out. So
that's not. I mean, another ecosystem crashing.
Yeah. The Mark Thompson Show is crowdfunded. So we want to thank you for being part of this community already.
Thanks for being part of the crowd.
Yeah,
exactly.
Saying some great things in the chat. We love it. And so thank you for that. Thank you also for supporting the show. We've got the Patreon and the PayPal links up. You can find them at themarkthompsonshow.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Who's Mark Thompson?
Everything is going extremely well. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I apologize to every preacher and pastor.
What he's got going here is a situation.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
No, no, no.
60% of the time, it works every time.
What up, everybody? It's a big Monday show. If you haven't yet, please do. Smash the like button like a boss. Smash it! Oh, yes. And I'm very excited.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yes, I'm very excited about our next segment. You know what I'm talking about. My other half, the woman that I do anything for. And she's the love of my life. And she has this bizarre attraction to the true crime genre. So after you finish smashing the like button and the thumbs up, let's get into some murder.
Welcome to Mark's Murder Mystery Monday.
And the woman who squires us through it all. Courtney! What's up, Courtney? What up with you, Courtney? Courtney.
Hi. There we go.
Yeah, there you go, Courtney.
I was backstage unable to defend myself.
Well, I don't know,
Yeah, no. I just on the Army Hammer point, I've actually been following House of Effie, and House of Effie is an account for the woman who was violently sexually assaulted and raped by Army Hammer, and she truly is a survivor and someone that brings to light some of the atrocious crimes that are happening to women in and around that. So I've been following her for a couple of years, and I heard about this new information around the LADA. I think is looking into charges against Army Hammer from Effie.
So it's no laughing matter, is your point?
No, and I'm going to get canceled before I even.
No, I didn't mean to say you were a fan of the documentary, which you felt laid out. When I said you were a fan of Army Hammer, that was a mistake. I misspoke.
I would say if it's not at all a laughing matter, it's because of the absurdity of I mean, it's so outlandish and so crazy. I don't mean the allegations are absurd. I just mean the way they're saying he is. It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable,
Yeah.
Yes,
No, but apparently it's unbelievable, but apparently believable.
Right.
So, Courtney, thank you for addressing that.
Yes.
You
but
are,
I'm
I
not
believe,
here to talk about him.
No, you're not. I believe you're dealing with a very high-profile case that took place recently, right in the city.
Yes, I know. I'm not nervous, but I'm a little nervous for this one because it is a murder that happened in San Francisco, and I know that this is the hometown of many listeners and fans of the Mark Thompson Show. So we'll be covering the murder of Bob Lee.
Okay.
So most people have probably heard of this murder, but I'm going to walk through what happened the day and the night of his murder, a little bit about who Bob Lee is.
I would just say this before you start, that I thought this was a fascinating case in which everybody jumped to conclusions because San Francisco is this violent, lawless place, and this is what I'm telling you about, and those progressives with their, and that's the reason, there are not enough cops or they're whatever.
No,
cops
it's
can't
true.
do anything. And so as a result, everybody had their own narrative that sort of, it seemed to fall into that. And detectives kept their mouths shut during it all while they were pursuing the investigation. So please proceed. I think it's a fascinating case from several perspectives. Yeah,
that is true. And I'm a fan of the All In podcast. And on Friday, they tape on Thursday, I believe. On Friday, they addressed some outreach that had happened by several news outlets about their saying that San Francisco is a crime-ridden city, and that, but in their a little bit, not defense, but they did say, until we know what happened, we don't know what happened. But yes, that is
you
part
use
of this
them as an
case.
example because that was the conversation that was being had by a lot of people. So anyway, please
exactly. So Bob Lee, who was 43, was the chief product officer of cryptocurrency startup MobileCoin when he died. He recently relocated to Miami, but was often in San Francisco. Actually, his ex-wife, and his two daughters lived in and around San Francisco. So on the day and the night of the crime, and this is if you're watching, this is a image of Bob Lee, and that is his Twitter profile. That's his different. Positions that he's had, companies that he's participated in or founded, which includes Cash App, which is owned by Square, now Block, which is Jack Dorsey's company. So on the day of April 3rd, this is all detailed by a witness. So someone who was with Bob on the day before the crime happened, but he is anonymous or she is anonymous. So this person is the name has not been given publicly. At 3:30 p.m., Bob and Nima's sister, Khazar, so Nima Momeni is the man that they arrested on Thursday, April 13th. And Khazar Momeni is Nima's sister. So at 3:30 on April 3rd, Bob and Nima's sister Khazar were hanging out at someone's apartment. Bob's friends come and meet up with them. And a few hours later, Bob and his friends decide to leave the apartment, ask Khazar to join them, but she declines. So Bob and his friends go to his hotel, which is the one hotel in San Francisco, to continue to hang out. Sometime in that afternoon or early evening, Nima Momeni, the man who was arrested on Thursday as a suspect in this crime, FaceTimes Bob and asks him if he was doing drugs with his sister, Khazar, or if anything inappropriate had happened while they were hanging out. And Bob vehemently denies this and says nothing inappropriate has happened. Now, the witness that was with Bob attested to this conversation. He was there when this happened. They continue to hang out until after midnight. Now, some point in the evening, Nima goes to his sister's place, Khazar Momeni's apartment at the Millennium Towers. And then Bob travels to Khazar's place at the Millennium Towers at about 12:35. And then surveillance footage shows that he was there for roughly 80 minutes. And at 2:03 a.m., this is now April 4th, Bob and Nima Momeni, the gentleman who was arrested for his murder, leave in Nima's car. They actually drive in the opposite direction of the one hotel. So they drive toward Rincon Hill.
Yeah.
And Nima stabs Bob 3 times. They get out of the car. They're chatting for about 5 minutes or arguing for about, probably not chatting. They're arguing for about 5 minutes. And then Nima stabs Bob 3 times, twice in the chest and once in the hip. And one of the stabs in the chest went through his heart or into his heart. And so it appears that this act was caught on camera, but it was grainier images, so more difficult to identify who the murderer was. They found a 4-inch kitchen knife that had been thrown into a parking lot in the proximity of where the murder happened. And then Nima is seen driving off in his car. Mr. Lee, or Bob Lee, then is bleeding and goes to an apartment building. There's a video of this, but I didn't want to link to the video, so I tried to find a still that didn't have some of the more specific details. Exactly. So he is bleeding. He goes to this apartment building, and police and EMT, they all arrive at about 2:35. They take him to Zuckerberg Hospital, but he dies ultimately at the hospital. At some point in the evening, Khazar does text Bob and says, "Are you okay? I know Nima came way down hard on you." So it was when they got to Bob's phone and were able to unlock it that they saw the calls and the text from Khazar and Nima. In addition
again,
to
Khazar is
the woman here. If you're
woman.
watching on the left, she's the
Okay.
sister of the suspect, Nima Momeni.
Okay.
So on April 13th, on a Thursday, the San Francisco police arrest Nima Momeni. He had already hired an attorney, and they arrest him at his loft, which is in Emeryville, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I have a visual of it. So they arrest him, and he is...
That's not the picnic scene is not the arrest.
No.
Just keep going.
If you
Albert,
go up,
is
sorry.
it Albert or Kim? I don't know who's doing it.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay,
So this
there.
is Sam Singer, the gentleman in the doorway. He was right now. He worked right next to Nima Momeni's. That's his orange door. He appears in court on April 14th.
I'm sorry. So Sam is who?
He's just the gentleman in the door. He was interviewed by a lot of news outlets.
So he worked with...
He worked next door to Nima Momeni and had a lot of interaction with him.
So the arrest, though, I thought, was there a picture of the arrest or not?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
There's no picture of the arrest.
This is them in the court on April 14th, the gathering of Kazar and...
Now, Kazar is married to Dr. Dino...
Eliasnia.
Yeah. He's a very well-known plastic surgeon in the area. So they live together in the Millennium Towers. She doesn't have any social media. Kazar does not have any social media. But the social media that Dr. Dino has, he's very much in love and talks about his wife quite a bit. In the photo below, it's actually from an article from Haute SF Living, I think is the name of the site. It has since been taken down, but the sleuths on Reddit can find anything. And so this is one of the images from an article that was profiling and featuring Dr. Dino.
Okay.
And so a little bit about Bob Lee. He founded Cash App, which was, as I mentioned, owned by Block, formerly Square. There's actually a really interesting post exactly here if you're watching from Jack Dorsey. This is the first transaction from Cash App. So this is Bob sending money to Jack, and at the time you sent it through email. So I wanted to show that. Everyone sort of universally says that Bob was a really, really great guy. He was a father of two. He was an angel investor. He was a serial entrepreneur. He has a blog that has some kind of really interesting personal information from his childhood and his matriculation into college.
Matriculation's a damn. Yeah.
And he invested in a lot of startups that we would know, including SpaceX and Clubhouse. I read somewhere, I have differing information, but I read somewhere that Cash App has roughly 35 million downloads in 2022.
No, it's a
very hot app. And then Mr. Momeni, he's a tech entrepreneur and consultant. Somebody on Reddit had worked with him and said he was a little off, but there was only one person that I saw on the Reddit subthread for San Francisco that had interacted with him. His sister, as I mentioned, moved to the U.S. as a teenager, married Dr. Dino, and has lived with him in the Bay Area.
So let me just understand this, essentially, as we finish up. This guy was killed. Nobody knew who killed him. Everybody thought it was a rando who killed him. Turns out, it was quickly revealed, as based on the communications on unlocking his phone at the scene, that his communications involved...
What can you tell us about the scene?
That person, Nima Momeni, who was angry with him for some presumed relationship he was having with Nomeni's sister.
Yes.
Even involving drugs, or maybe there was sex. They don't know. Some kind of relationship, right?
Yes.
And that heated exchange led to the stabbing.
Yes, or Nima not believing him, and so there's premeditation because Nima traveled to his sister's apartment or from her apartment took a 4-inch kitchen blade.
That's what makes it first-degree murder.
Yes, stabbed him.
And then this shot in the court.
This I thought was interesting. So in the court on Friday, Nima, his family is shown there in the audience. This is a court. This is a sketch, obviously, but his family was doing the heart shapes with their hands, and he was doing a heart shape back to them. Now, the judge asked anybody in the court who was doing some of the sketches to not be able to show any identifiable marks or characteristics of Nima. So that's why he's in that. Yeah, great out. I was
wondering
shape.
why they draw him, if for those who are just listening, they draw his face like those alien sketches of the people who come down, for the people who have had alien encounters. He looks kind of like that.
It is a little bizarre. And that was done by Vicky Beringer. It was from Reuters. I'll just mention on the All In podcast, they did talk about some other crimes that happened in San Francisco that same week. I believe in giving context as to why they felt that initially this might have been perpetrated by a homeless person or someone that might have been on drugs or intoxicated. And that included, there was a violent assault against San Francisco Fire Commissioner Don Caramani, who had asked some homeless people that were in the front of his mother's apartment to move because they were intimidating her, and he was beaten with a metal pipe. And also there was discussion of Whole Foods closing its flagship store on Market Street, actually on April. That happened on April 5th, the fire commissioner. And then on April 12th, Whole Foods closing its San Francisco flagship store on Market Street, saying and citing worker safety. That there were needles. So there were needles and other drug paraphernalia in the bathrooms. And workers were being confronted by homeless people who were in the store. So they actually closed that store. So that was talked about on the All In podcast. I'm not a resident of San Francisco, but this truly is a story that I think on so many levels has devastated the city.
Yeah, I mean, it's devastated the city on one level. I'd suggest it was when those All In guys jumped to that conclusion, it wasn't completely unreasonable to jump to it for the reasons you said, within the context of violence and an uptick in essentially a sense of anxiety and fear about what might happen in the city. But this murder didn't, for a moment, it made everybody scary. But now when the details come forward, it's like, oh, this was a dispute between people at Millennial Towers. I mean, that's a high-end place. I'm just saying, when you actually put the particulars in, when they're in the light of day, sorry, it doesn't fall into the narrative that San Francisco is this violent place, you can't go anywhere. It's BS. That's an agenda-based scenario.
But all the officials wanted people to apologize. Oh, you should all say you're sorry for, jumping to the conclusion that San Francisco is a violent place. See, we're working to clean it up. Well, you know what? I don't really think an apology is in order, because the fact is everyone jumped to that conclusion because San Francisco is a violent place, because San Francisco's streets are filled with crime, because your car gets broken into every 5 seconds, because you can't walk down the street without being harassed by someone. So you jump to the conclusion because it's an obvious one.
Of course, but I'll only say one thing in defense of San Francisco. It is true. Everything that Kim just said is true. Yeah. Smash and grabs, hassle on the streets, public defecation, public urination, these are all things. But violent crime, and I told you this, we did a whole segment on it.
Right.
Violent crime is down in the city. Okay, right. So the idea somehow that, oh my God, you can't go anywhere, you can't walk down Folsom Street without getting knifed. BS, man, that's not true. Now, please, I don't mean to be too agitated about it, but I want San Francisco to go back to being this jewel that it was, and maybe it'll never get there. But one thing it's got to fight is a reputation, and these. The momentum that comes with the sense that you can't walk anywhere in San Francisco without getting knifed, I think that's a scary momentum. I would say you can't park anywhere in San Francisco without getting ripped off.
There you go.
But, all right. Did I save it? No? Not so much? All right.
I don't know. I've not lived in San Francisco. I'm simply discussing some of the aspects.
No, I'm not. I know It's not.
But I told you the story of one of the tech executives from All In went into San Francisco, parked his car outside of a restaurant, made the joke with his friend that his car is going to get broken into. Went into dinner, came out, and the car was broken into.
Oh yeah, no, I'm telling you, you can't. That is. I mean, every time I park my car in the city, I'm thinking, do I want to park it under the light, not as far into the light? Do I want to park in? It's awful. It really is awful.
I want to just leave it unlocked so that they don't smash the window.
Right. Do I want to put a sign on here saying there's nothing inside? Right. I mean, it really is. No, it's effed up. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't like the rep that rapes and murders occur on every street corner. That's just not true. But maybe I'm splitting hairs here. Courtney, we appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Oh, thanks. I appreciate you having me and letting me talk about this case that's happened and is a big part of the news cycle. You know, as of Monday of last week, when we do Murder Mystery Monday, they did not have a suspect. So this happened on Thursday and Friday of last week.
It's very topical. I appreciate you coming in. There's a certain darkness in the work that you do because you deal with murder, of course, but you emanate a certain light, and it's quite special.
Well,
Courtney, thank you. All right.
Mark's Murder Mystery Monday on the Mark Thompson Show.
Wow, much to do. You know, now I like to chase those murder stories with a little bit of, are you not angry at me for anything? We'll talk about it later. I always say something or do something or I didn't do it right, so it becomes
can't win
like
for losing.
Man, I'm telling you. Here's what you do. I mean, for all the money we're paying you, Courtney. Yeah. Oh, that's right. We're not paying you. When we come back, I do have a story about violence and the new study they just concluded. In schools, school violence over the last 18 years, do you think it's up or do you think it's down in California schools? I will tell you when we come back. Smash the like button like a boss.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
And when we come back, that and more. In fact, I have another chunk. And Albert, you have the Russell Westbrook exchange with the fan from the Clippers game? Was it
I do.
Russell Westbrook? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we can catch up on some sports since I was gone for a little bit.
Yeah, we have to. And Mark's Madness, of course, you performed admirably, but you didn't finish at the top of the celebrity bracket, did you, Albert? Commissioner.
Definitely not. In the overall brackets, I was like in 80th place. This is my worst showing. I actually got 5th place. I have a 5th place shirt here. I got 5th place last year, so it's a fall from grace for me.
I want to review what we're sending out. Anyway, much to do. Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and I do want to tell you that this broadcast, this newscast, is sponsored by the fine people at Tenuta Vineyards. Rich and Nancy out at the winery in Livermore are sponsoring this newscast. So yay, that's awesome. Here's what it looks like inside at the tasting room. Look at that. Yeah, that's where I want to sidle right up to the bar and have a little bit of wine. So I would like you to know their motto is give us 30 minutes and we'll be friends for life. And it is very, very true. More about Tenuta in just a moment. But first, the news, because it's likely the Massachusetts Air National Guard member accused of posting some classified information. Here's a picture of him. Accused of posting this classified military documents online has even more documents. What? That according to the FBI, 21-year-old Jack Teixeira charged with retaining and transmitting national defense information without authorization, and the investigation there now continues. Florida's new abortion law will be tested in the next election. Governor Ron DeSantis last week signed a bill that bans most abortions after 6 weeks. That's pretty early. Speaking to Fox News, a Republican senator, Marco Rubio, said many of the state's lawmakers were elected on a pro-life platform, and he said voters will be the ones to decide if 6 weeks is too restrictive. Speaking of Fox News, billion-dollar defamation lawsuit against Fox News that, as Mark mentioned earlier, is now being delayed. Dominion Voting Systems is suing the network for $1.6 billion over claims their voting machines were rigged during the 2020 election. Not true. A judge announced the trial will get underway tomorrow, as opening arguments had been previously scheduled for today. A state investigation is now underway into a police killing in the Bay Area. Officers shot a carjacking suspect last week during what they called a high-risk traffic stop. A second suspect injured in this situation. Police were alerted by community safety cameras that the car had entered Newark. A special prosecutions team will now conduct an independent review of this officer-involved shooting. On top of that, Alameda County plans to find out if officers were justified in opening fire or not. I don't know if I like this picture. It's not something you want rolling around in your body. Let's just say that. There is a new push to protect more California teens against HPV. The virus is the most common sexually transmitted infection, causing genital warts and nearly all cervical cancers. While there's a bill originally aimed to mandate the shots for middle schoolers, it's now focused on incoming college students. If it passes and gets signed, anyone under the age of 26 would have to show proof they were vaccinated as part of the admissions process for college. Got to have the HPV vaccine in order to go to college.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, who really wants HPV anyway, right?
No, you definitely don't want HPV.
No.
Now, once you get HPV, it's with you for life. Is that how it works?
I think so. I don't think there's any cure.
No.
Yeah. I don't think you have a way to get rid of it. So might as well get the vaccination.
Yeah. My God.
Yeah.
Sayonara, sucker.
Yeah,
not those little balls rolling around in there. No, thank you.
Yeah, I want the other stuff rolling around. Yeah.
Alec Baldwin, it turns out, is trying to get this lawsuit filed by the family of Helena Hutchins tossed right out. The actor says that the lawsuit is especially misguided, is what he calls it. That Hutchins' family has been distant from the cinematographer for years. So because they hadn't talked to her or been close to her, they shouldn't be allowed to file a lawsuit. Hutchins was killed when Baldwin's prop gun discharged a live bullet on the set of Rust in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and that was in 2001. And again, this report is sponsored by Tenuta Vineyards.
Come on, Tenuta. We love Tenuta.
Yeah, we really do love Tenuta. They're so nice and so kind. And
I'll tell you what I was thinking of doing.
Yes, what?
Well, I'll finish your mention about everything at Tenuta, and then on the other side, I'll tell you what I'm thinking of doing. It involves everybody watching, too.
Okay, well, that's cool. Well, what we know about Tenuta Vineyards is that it is the home of the Mark Thompson Why Are You Yelling Red, right?
Why are you yelling?
Yes, and they also have the Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson Pinot Grigio?
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Right.
Both of which are outstanding. I can tell you from experience, they're really good.
I got hammered on the which one of you are Mark Thompson White over the weekend.
How so?
Then I got re-hammered on the yelling.
Why are you yelling?
Well, when I watch sports,
as long as you didn't get Army hammered.
I like to. Oh, how dare you?
Thank you very much.
Girl, you just woo.
All right.
They have not only those two varietals, the Mark Thompson varietals.
Oh, no, they have tons of different kinds of wine.
28 different varietals on their tasting room menu.
What?
Man.
They've got 14 whites. They've got 14 reds. They have discounts on case purchases. And by the way,
there's never been anything like this.
Man, that's extraordinary. I got to say.
Their website's down right now. But
no.
Yeah, I know.
What?
But if you want the wine, and trust me, you want the wine, you got to call them. You can see the phone number on your screen. Rich is at 925-699-4576. And here's the story.
Yeah.
If you call and say, smash it with your iron rod, you get 10% off of your purchase at Tenuta Winery in Livermore.
With your iron rod.
That's right. So put the phone number back up. You got to smash it. You got to get that wine.
Tenuta Vineyard, may I help you? Yes, smash it.
Smash
it
with your iron rod right now.
Smash it with your iron rod.
I have my old school phone. I want to use my old school telephone.
Look at you. Look at you. Calling you.
I get this is the hello, give me Tenuta Vineyard. I need it now. Tenuta. Smash with your iron rod.
Is that your old-fashioned voice? Your teletype voice?
Yes, that's true. This would be they all talked that way back when these phones were popular. This is a candlestick phone. See how kind of like can you see it?
You kind of have a growing phone collection behind you, I've noticed.
Oh, I collect old phones and old radios.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
You're seeing
I'm
on the phone. Small portion of it. Yeah, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
Ma'am, I'm on the phone.
I'm Kim McAllister on the Mark Thompson Show.
Wow, that was quick. Big finish. I liked it.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
My wife wants some vegetables for crudité.
I was a basketball referee.
Feels great, baby.
Use Mark Thompson. It's unbelievably offensive.
What he's got going here is a situation.
I was fortunate. Everyone I worked with made me better at my job.
You are a cover-up artist, and you are a liar.
All right. How about it? Love it. Welcome back to our 11 o'clock hour. We have some great stuff ahead. If you missed any kind of, at least, overall conversation about the Dominion lawsuit that is now going to be grinding on in the court for about 6 weeks is what the judge is saying. That's in the first hour. And I've just seen a lot in the talk. Took my Mark shopping bag, says Stan Pollock, CPA. Took my Mark shopping bag to Walnut Creek Farmers Market yesterday, and someone recognized it, and we chatted about the show. I love that story.
That's awesome.
Stan Pollock. Wow. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Stan. Great story, and thank you for the contribution. You know, it's a weird thing, I'll tell you. And Kevin Hobbs, wow, 44. Pardon me for being interrupted, but that is a serious.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
4466 from Kevin Hobbs is the contribution super sticker. Wow. Very cool, Kevin. Big supporter. Will be, I believe he has a statue in the circle that's there at Thompson Terrace.
Yes.
In the metaverse.
Big shout out.
Yeah, that's right. So very, very cool. Hall of Famer. Thank you. All of you who contribute so much, you are, of course, scrolled at the end of our show as we try to honor all of our patrons and those who are on PayPal. And this is the weird thing I was about to tell you. I mean, it's a strange thing. I'm really just not used to this situation where you're constantly having...
What he's got going here is a situation.
Where you're constantly having to worry about money, you know. When you're crowdfunded, you are. So in addition to trying to find information and trying to find perspective and trying to find content, guests that you might find interesting, or, you know, authors that you might find interesting, actors, media people, or just people who are able to push along conversations and perspectives that I think might really benefit the audience and all of us, you have to worry about raising money. So that's where you come in. And I just want to thank you very much, all of you who have done two things. You've stepped up in the YouTube universe, because even in replay, you can hit that little heart that's got a $sign. You can contribute right there. And we get that money long after the show's off. I see all of you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it really does matter. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank all of you who take the extra click. You know, they talk about it as a real thing in tech. The friction associated with an extra click. You want things to be frictionless. That's why it's easier in YouTube to make a contribution, but you have to go an extra step. You have to go to the markthompsonshow.com. You have to put that into whatever device you're on. Then you have to click on the PayPal or Patreon, and then you have to click again to make the contribution. So for those of you who've made all those clicks and then actually, you know, part with some money to give us support on a regular basis, wow, it really does sustain us. So anyway, this is the weird thing. So I'm having to worry about, you know, like, I don't know. I want to, you know, Tony makes a contribution, but I can't really afford to keep Tony on and keep Albert and Kim. You know, it's like, how do you do all of this stuff? So I was trying to think of fun things we can do in the days ahead. And I haven't even talked to Kim about this. I'll just mention it now, you know, tell the audience at the same time that it might be fun to do something at Taduna Vineyard. Maybe we could do a listener event. Maybe we could do a live show. Maybe we could do any number of things. And again, it's just in the primordial ooze in my mind. Mm-hmm. But I mention it also because if there's anyone else who has ideas and who might be in that, you know, there's a bunch of stuff that has to come together for that. You know, you have to have, you know, you have to set up the infrastructure of an event like that. You know, you'll need food, and they have a lot of this at Taduna. So that they can make that happen. But you'll need just the workings of a live event. So when it comes to live event planning, I think they've done a lot of it at Tenuta, and I want to get with them on it, and maybe we can get this going. And then I want to get, performers and other people who will make it special. I don't just want another show. So
you're saying Mark Thompson's not special enough? What?
I don't think Mark Thompson is super special enough. Maybe, but I want to say hey to Beth Farmer. I have my credibility glasses on so I can see it, Beth, of course. Yes, a group event would be fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Beth. The $19.99 helps us enormously. And primordial is a ding word, yes. And who are you sustaining? Those $300 lunches? Not cool, says Mysticism. No, I do not. I've not spent $1 of this money on myself, so that's absolutely not. No kid. When it comes to that, I won't joke around because it's just not. But I do take. We've done 2 of them. The people we've been on the air for 6 months, and I've taken Shore and Avila to lunch twice. I think it is, or maybe 3 times. But that's it. Yeah, we try to do something for, like, when we send out merch to people. That's all the payment that we do with our contributors. So anyway, the Tenuta Vineyard being the center of some kind of listener event would be a fun thing, and so that's why I mention it.
They have a room there and a facility that can host 100 people.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, that's either enough for everybody or it's enough for just a few people to change chairs all the time, which would be really great if only a few people show up. So there you go.
The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, now we've done it all. You've smashed the like button. We've talked about maybe getting an event together. We'll kind of keep it on the back burner, but I want you all, and you can think about it. I mentioned it to you, the audience, because there's a quality of the show which is exciting, and that is that you're part of it. Not only with your money, not only with your support, not only with hitting the like button, but that you might have ideas. Shadow producer Calvin Wong sends me a lot of content, and some of you others have sent a bunch of content too. By the way, Albert, did you tweet today or not? I know you didn't, and I forgot to also. Anyway, it'd be great if somebody would tweet that the show is on the air. I did want to. Thank you very much, Albert. That's. I did want to mention,
Albert. Thank you.
The study that looked at school violence in California over 18 years.
Yeah.
Including fights and reports of guns and other weapons on campus. They found that students felt generally what at school? More anxious, safer, scared? What do you think? What did students over the last 18 years feel, generally speaking, on campus? The answer will surprise you. Students felt generally safe at school, despite nationwide mass school shootings.
What?
Yep. The report documented a 56% reduction in physical fights, a 70% reduction in reports of guns being carried onto school campuses, while reports of other weapons like knives fell by nearly 70% as well. Victimization reported by Black and Latino students, that includes instances of being bullied or assaulted, saw larger declines than victimization reported by white students. This is a study out of UCLA. They compared data, and they looked at it over the period from 2001 to 2019. It was a confidential California Healthy Kids survey published late last month in the World Journal of Pediatrics. The survey took in 6.2 million 7th, 9th, and 11th graders from more than 3,200 public schools. So you can't look at this and say, well, the sample size wasn't that high.
Right.
Again, 6.2 million 7th through 9th and 11th graders from more than 3,200 public schools. Here's a quote from the co-author of the study. These findings were evident in more than 95% of California schools in every county, and not in wealthy suburban schools only. They say that gun violence should be treated as a separate social and psychological phenomenon. Again, this is now you're drawing certain conclusions from the study, right? Each school shooting is a devastating act that terrorized the nation, and there's a growing sense in the public that little has changed in 2 decades to make schools safe. But mass shootings are just one part of this story. This is, again, continuing with the quote. Overall, on a day-to-day basis, for most students, American schools are safer than they've been for many decades. I mean, that absolutely astounded me. That's why I wanted to share it with you.
Because it doesn't match media coverage, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. He attributed the widespread decreases, again, this is the author of the study. He attributed the widespread decreases in school violence to a variety of factors, including a focus on improving campus climate in the wake of the Columbine high school shooting and other campus shootings in the late 1990s. Billions and billions of dollars, if you look at the state, national, and local levels, have been invested in social, emotional programs and educating school staff on how to create more caring, welcoming settings. Additionally, there was a massive influx of social workers, counselors, psychologists, and other people on campus who were charged with trying to help kids through any number of challenges they might face. If you look at, and this is the last quote, if you look at where we were 20 years ago to now, there's been a huge improvement. And you see it district after district. And although the study ended in 2019, other data have shown an uptick in discriminatory bullying in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, we should say. Recent incidents of discrimination against LGBTQ, Black and Latino students, there have been increases, as I say, in those incidents. So even when you look at the overall data from 2001 to 2019, it doesn't take into effect so much of what kids have had to deal with during the COVID crisis, you know. I mean, you're talking to educators who say you're getting from kids, for example, that they're afraid of dying for the first time. I'm talking about from illness or from outside threat. You're getting a lot of that. But what Kim said is important, which is, and I think I succumb to this, which is the media, and again, I mean, this is the media in a bad way. The media is a good thing. The media we're media. I just told you a positive story or whatever. I mean, the media collective, though, does reflect stuff that's shocking. So you get shocking all the time, and you're afraid to crawl out from under the bed because it's scary. When the reality is, generally speaking, kids feel safer. And they're responding to the situation at school. They're not just responding to media reports. So, I mean, I, as a parent, would think you'd be more anxious as your kid goes off to school.
You are. Absolutely.
Yeah. But, and so it goes. The 10 priciest cities in the U.S., everybody. The 10 priciest.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The 10 priciest cities in the U.S. where a $300,000 salary feels like $100,000. The 10 most expensive cities, all right, you know what I'm saying, in the U.S. Think. I'll tell you the shocker. San Francisco is not at the top of the list.
What? Oh.
Exactly. San Francisco is not at the top of the list. Mm-hmm.
That's a surprise.
It is a surprise. That's why I mention it. The top 10 most expensive cities in the U.S. have been revealed. San Francisco wasn't even the number 2.
Oh.
The number 2 is guessable. The first is not. Yeah, here we go. Let's look. San Francisco number 1, no. Washington, D.C., good guess, but no. Santa Clara, no. New York City, no. On the list, but not there. Palo Alto, no. Miami,
feels like
no.
it. Yeah.
New York, Phoenix, San Francisco, says Harry. San Francisco, New York, L.A., San Jose, no. You guys are all really warm, though, to be fair. It's a surprising state of affairs. The number 3, hang on, I want to get it in order, so I give you if I get it in order, I get extra points. So let me just go give it to you in order. The number 3 most expensive, I'll go from number 5. The number 5 most expensive city to live in is Los Angeles. The number 4 is Oakland, California.
What?
Yeah. The number 3 priciest city in the United States is San Francisco.
Okay.
Nice job, San Francisco, yeah. The number 2, and this is why everybody was so warm, is New York City. Nice job, New York City, always coming in with the... And the number 1 priciest city in the U.S., Honolulu, Hawaii, everyone.
Yeah.
Wow, that is just unreal. Yeah. You need the scratch to live in Honolulu, Hawaii. They say that the most expensive city, Honolulu, is a place where you need $312,000 a year to have the purchasing power of just $100,000 in most cities. Wow.
Super expensive. But it's, I mean, they're base all the prices off. Everyone's on vacation, right?
I see.
So it's like they charge a lot for stuff, and then the locals have to pay the price.
Well, then maybe you'll take that same formula, work it backward, and tell me the cheapest cities in America in which to live. What's the cheapest? Least expensive. I'll give you the bottom 5, and you'll give me it after that.
Are these major cities, or are these like Podunk, Nebraska? I don't know.
Tell me whether they're major, Kim. I don't know what's major to you.
Okay.
What's major to me may not be major to you. But yes, the answer is I think they're major with a small m.
You would have heard of them before.
St. Louis, Missouri is 10th.
Okay.
Arlington, Texas is tied for 7th. At 7th, there are 3 ties, and they're all in Texas. Arlington, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, and San Antonio, Texas, all tied for 7th. So St. Louis, and then you have those 3, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Arlington. Then Houston is next, cheapest. Okay, so you understand the further up the list, the cheaper it is to live there. Then Lubbock, Texas. Okay, so Texas is really represented in the cheapest cities.
Yeah, but then you got to live in Texas.
There you go. Well, you got to, there's, what is it? What did she say?
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
That's it. All right. Then I'll give you the 4th one, Corpus Christi, Texas.
No.
There's never been anything like this.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
So it's St. Louis, Missouri, Arlington, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Houston, Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas. Which still leaves us the big 3, and there's only 1 Texas city in the big 3 left. Anybody? The answer, Elko, Nevada is 1. Las Vegas, says Neiman. Omaha, Nebraska, says Calvin Wong, shadow producer. Barstow.
Barstow's a pretty good guess.
Fresno. Barstow's a really good guess.
Yeah.
Stockton, Fresno's a really good guess from Spencer. I don't know if he looked this up, but I am going to give him credit. Harry Magnan has said Memphis, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The answer is 3rd is Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Then El Paso, Texas is the 2nd cheapest in America. The cheapest city to live in, Memphis, Tennessee is right. Wow,
okay.
Very good, Harry Magnan. I don't know if you looked or not, but that's a pretty good guess if you didn't. I didn't see Milwaukee on the list, but Memphis, Tennessee, you need $117,000, they say.
Yikes.
That gets it done.
That's a lot for Memphis, Tennessee, isn't it?
I think so. You can get yourself quite a spread there in Memphis.
Right.
I think for that.
Who's paying $117K a year in Memphis?
Yeah.
The basketball team, probably.
Oh, all right.
That is true. The athletes who live there, they can afford it. It's interesting. L.A. County is still the most populous county in the U.S. 143,000 people left L.A. between July 21st and July 2021 and July 2022.
Sayonara, sucker. More room on the 405 for me.
Sayonara, sucker.
I'm with Kim. Not enough people are leaving. Oh, so many people are leaving California. Great. Go to Texas.
Bye.
Yeah. I mean, that's the...
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Maricopa County in Arizona, home to Phoenix, had the largest influx. 33,000. Collin County in Texas and Polk County in Florida were second and third in terms of the influx of people living there. Mm-hmm. So this is all based on census data, obviously. But people are moving from counties and states with what? If you guessed high taxes, you got it. I mean, people leave because it's cheaper to live in these places. San Antonio, Lubbock, Houston, Fort Worth, Arlington, Texas, these are all places where you can make a buck go farther. As Kim says, the issue may be, I mean, it's not for everybody, but it may be, look, I got to worry about getting shot. I got to worry, I mean, there are way more guns. The politics is scary. If I'm a woman, I probably have objections to what's happening with reproductive rights. There's any number of things that could concern you. But these things might not concern you. You know, you may be concerned with other things. People live in California for the weather, for example. They don't care about anything else. So anyway, I always think this is interesting. But, increasingly, you do have to keep your head above water. And if it's more expensive to keep your head above water in the Bay Area and around California, then, that's a consideration for sure. Kim's news coming up. I will tell you that there was a big accident of a major athlete. I'll share that with you. And also I'll do a mini Stories from the Sky as well. Kim, I believe, has to leave us at noon. Like, she can't even be like a minute late.
Well,
isn't that right?
Well, so Nikki made the announcement last week that she starts her new job, part-time fill-in job at KCBS today. So today's her first day.
What?
She's training. She's a trainee.
Wow.
And so I am hosting
Traffic and weather together.
Yes, so I want to get over to the Nikki Maduro show and fire things off.
Oh, so you'll be there by yourself today?
Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay, that's great.
Sometimes it happens. It's all right.
No, it's cool. Very, very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to your newscast, and then you'll be with us for Stories from the Sky and a couple other things.
Yeah, I'm not
major athlete, as I say.
I'll be here till the end of the show. That's right.
All right, cool. Smash the like button like a boss. Find it in your heart to smash the like button. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and I have a story for you. Unbelievable. Wow. This is a story out of New York, and it appears that China opened a secret police station in New York City. That, according to federal officials who announced charges of at least 2 Chinese suspects. Yes, officials say the Chinese government was using their secret police station in New York to track down and intimidate dissidents and activists.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
The top federal prosecutor said the station was right in the heart of New York City in Manhattan's Chinatown. Here's a picture of this area. The FBI,
how did they get away with that? Go ahead. The
I'm
FBI said
telling
what?
you, this is wild.
Yeah.
China had a secret police station right in the heart of New York City.
Oh.
The FBI
I have never heard of something like that.
Yeah, I know.
The accused destroyed important cell phone evidence right before these arrests.
Wow.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
You can make fun of it.
We've never seen anything
Okay,
like
go
it
ahead and make
before.
fun of it, but it really is something there's never been anything like
There's
it.
never been anything like this.
Yeah.
This foreign nation sets up shop right in New York. Wow.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm flabbergasted by the cojones on them.
Yeah, I agree, and I will ding flabbergasted.
Thank you.
Not
I'll
cojones.
take the ding. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't, okay.
Wow, that is just unreal.
Right? Yeah. So 2 people under arrest. The
It ain't
investigation
cool.
continues.
It
is
ain't
not
cool.
cool.
I'll
You know,
tell
you
you
think
that.
you move here and you're safe, right? You get away from communist China. Maybe you're being persecuted there. You
Right.
make your way to America. No, they're coming after you even here.
God, that's insane. Really insane.
I don't think you should apologize for how you feel.
You're going to have to answer to the Chinese government for how you feel. So this is going to be an interesting case to watch.
Yeah, it will
Yeah.
be. President Biden plans to veto a pair of Republican-led bills that are expected to reach the House floor as early as this week. One of the measures would roll back policing reforms in Washington, D.C. The other bans transgender women and girls from competing on female sports teams. The White House says the president will block both bills if they land on his desk.
And again, that is just, it's the ridiculousness of ruling on these things as a federal body. I just don't get. There are competitive bodies when it comes to sports, and they make determinations, and they know way more about it than do these legislators who are just looking to, curry favor with various constituencies. It
I just
makes
want a
no sense.
headline. That's right.
Exactly. Thank you.
Here's the former president. Apparently, a federal judge is knocking down former President Trump's effort to get a 4-week delay in his civil rape and defamation trial. His lawyer, Joe Tacopina, asked a district judge to postpone the E. Jean Carroll trial, which is set to start April 25th. Tacopina arguing Trump should be allowed a cooling off period after his recent indictment by a Manhattan grand jury in another case involving hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
Your Honor, my client deserves a cooling off period as a result of
Joe
his...
Box and Little Anthony.
That's right, because there's been a lot of talk around my client with various things. Cooling off is all I'm asking for, Your Honor.
Mo Black's brother, Fat Andy.
Yeah, Fat Andy. We got Fat Andy. We got to wait for him to come in. My client needs a cooling off. That's all I'm saying.
Do you think that's unreasonable? I mean, if you
What's
did all,
his,
if you did all these things and you have to face the music all at once, well, maybe you shouldn't have done all these things. Allegedly.
Yes, that's spoken like a mom. Maybe you shouldn't have done that.
Kim, how are you?
Maybe you should. Maybe you should turn your homework
Maybe
in on
next
time
time
if
you
you
try
want all
to
the
rape
credit.
somebody, you'll think about the fact that the rape trial might come at the same time as other stuff that you've done. It's bad.
Yeah. So now they're like they want a cooling off period. What do you think the judge is going to say to that? Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's much of a chance. Yeah. So.
From Trump to straw babies, because the FDA has linked an outbreak of hepatitis A to frozen strawberries imported from farms in Baja California, Mexico. These frozen strawberries come from the Trader Joe's, Costco, and other stores. They were sold under a variety of labels, including Kirkland Signature, Trader Joe's Simply Nature, Vital Choice, Made With, and PPC Community Markets. So check your strawberries because
My bad. I'm sorry.
My bad.
I feel like Checker Strawberry should be a drop, but we don't usually do drops from people who are on the show. But that if we did, Check Your Strawberries is a strong, yeah.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
Check Your Strawberries, everybody. All right.
I'm just saying.
I feel like that could be hang on, I gotta write that down. That's gonna be our new catchphrase.
The Super Mario Brothers movie keeps leveling up, as they say. The animated film has made over $700 million at the global box office.
What?
God.
$700 million. It has made it made just over $350 million at the North American box office. After just 2 weekends, Mario is the highest grossing film of the year, both globally and domestically.
We've never seen anything like it before.
Well, what is did you take your kids finally to the, you were talking about going. Did you go?
I actually got out of it. My husband took my son.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
I love it. Very
The
very
review, and I don't know if it was if it was Michael
It was
Snyder or Tim Sika, who called it a mediocre candy box of color and sound. That was enough for me to check out. Yeah.
Well, Snyder essentially said your family will like it, but it's a chore. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is so good. Have you guys seen The Phantom of the Opera on Broadway? My mom took me to see it when I was, gosh, I want to say 11 or 12 in San Francisco. So I've never seen it in New York, but Broadway's longest running show, Phantom of the Opera, is history. The cast and crew took their final bows at the Majestic Theater Sunday night, officially ending Phantom's 35-year reign. The Andrew Lloyd Webber musical won 7 Tony Awards with nearly 14,000 performances seen by more than 20 million people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. It was a great show. I saw it several times. It's hard not to be...
with a chandelier overhead and I'll never forget it.
Yes. Phantom of the Opera, yeah.
Okay, maybe not too much of this. We're like getting copyright.
Yeah, we're going to get dinged.
No, this is not. This is. I've already thought of that, Albert. This is cleared music. It just sounds like Phantom.
Oh, it sounds.
I cleared this ahead of time, Albert.
There's never been anything like this.
That actually, it's fine. That music is fine. Don't worry about it. But I was inspired by that. I mean, at the time, there really had never been anything like it.
There's never been anything like this.
No, with the kind of effects, as Kim said, there's the chandelier, there's so much, there's stage smoke, which is nothing new, but the movement of the, what was it? They were in those vessels on stage, moving up and down the stage.
See her right there. Oh, the boat?
Yeah, the boat. Thank you. That would be a thing to call it.
There she is in the boat.
And there was just so much drama, and of course the music was just an earworm.
Incredible.
I mean, it was unreal.
Incredible.
You know what I mean? So, yes, exactly.
That's not the music, but yes.
But there was, it was a phenomenon. How many years did it run?
35. Wow. 35 years. Yeah. 35 years, 7 Tony Awards, 14,000 performances, 20 million people saw Phantom of the Opera.
Wow. Really special.
Really special.
All right. Well, bye-bye,
this
Phantom.
report is, that's sayonara, sucker. This report.
Sayonara, sucker. Sayonara, sucker.
Yeah.
Good day, sir.
You're right. See you later. Thanks for the memories. See you later.
This report is crowdfunded by you. That's right. Thank you for being part of the Mark Thompson Show community. I say it every time, but I truly do mean it. I would love it if you could financially support the show. You can find that at themarkthompsonshow.com. There's a PayPal link and a Patreon link, and you'll find all that stuff.
We're just looking for a few super wealthy donors, everybody. It's not a big deal. Yeah, thank you.
Maybe we can afford to pay for the rights to the real Phantom of the Opera music. You know, someday it's a girl can dream. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
We are excited that you are here. If you're just joining us, of course, you can watch the show anytime in replay on YouTube. It's also across most major podcast platforms, and it will continue to be. And thank you for all the ways, as Kim was just saying, that you support us in that effort. Albert, I have a producer decision. First of all, I want to remind everyone that you're back in the producer's chair today. And I have a question for you.
Albert, thank you.
Do you want to do the Stories from the Sky stories, I mean? Is that where you'd like to go next? Did you want to, or do you want to do the pizza delivery driver? We're going to do them both. But my question is, which one, the order that you want to do them, please?
Let's start with Stories from the Sky first. We'll do that quickly, and then we'll end with the... I think this pizza delivery story is great, because I even have video for it, and I'll share that.
Okay. All right, let's do some Stories from the Sky, and we'll...
We have clearance, Clarence. Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane! Everybody strap in!
Alaska Airlines has canceled flights to Anchorage because of Russian volcanic ash.
Oh.
Yeah. A volcano in the Russian Far East erupted, shot ash almost 13 miles into the sky.
What?
Oh, my God, that was a loud what. Alaska Airlines canceled 28 flights to and The volume of that what just blew my head up. To and from the state of Alaska yesterday. This yesterday is a few days ago now. The volcanic ash drifted over western Alaska. The ash cloud was created by recent volcanic eruptions in the Russian Far East. They do this from time to time because that ash gets into the engine, Kim, as you're aware.
Oh,
and cause an engine failure, yes? Yeah. So there are 29 active volcanoes in the far east of Russia on the Bering Sea. So it's not a completely unusual thing. They do watch it. The Blue Jays' Anthony Bass is slamming United Airlines. There's a parenting debate that's cropped up around it.
Oh, I love a good parenting debate. What do you got?
He's from the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's saying that flight attendants who claim he forced his wife to clean up after their kids on a plane that's not accurate. A United Airlines employee forced his wife to get on her hands and knees. It wasn't him.
What?
The toddler made a mess. Quote, the United flight attendants just made my 22-week pregnant wife traveling with a 5-year-old and 2-year-old to get on her hands and knees and pick up the popcorn mess from my youngest daughter. Are you kidding me? He wrote. I want to be the one to force my wife to clean stuff up. I don't want flight attendants forcing her. The tweet sparked debate online. And here's what happened, Kim, and it's rather odd, and I wonder how you come down on this as a parent.
Here's a picture of his pregnant wife.
Yes, she's very attractive, and he's very attractive. Yeah. They're an attractive couple, and I'm sure it's an attractive bunch of offspring that they'll be having.
That is an awful lot of popcorn, but you know what?
Like to throw stuff on the floor. Exactly.
Don't they usually say they have a cleaning crew that comes in and,
Well, Kim, just because you have a cleaning crew doesn't mean you shouldn't at least manage your kids.
You should manage your kids, and you should try to keep things clean. But I mean, if it happens, if it's done, it's done.
Well, I mean, I think the idea was to stop the kid from doing it.
Well, that would be good. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe popcorn wasn't the smartest decision on the plane, because it's even getting to the other passenger stuff. So I can see where the flight attendants are coming from, but again, she's pregnant, so it's like you can't make her do that work. So I do understand the debate.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, he's a Toronto Blue Jay with a lot of money.
But doesn't matter.
Probably farm out he could farm out the, peel off 100. Give it to the person next to you and go, hey, look, this is weird, but would you mind doing
this?
They
shouldn't force anybody to
Or the
clean.
flight attendant. Maybe just grease the flight attendant with 100.
There's no caveat at the bottom of the ticket that says, and if you make a mess, you've got to get down on your hands and knees and scoop it up.
No, but you know what, Kim? This is where you and I part company. There ought to be something like that.
Because I would clean it up, because I'm conscientious about my surroundings.
Of people trashing planes, and then
it's true.
There are people who have to come out that plane right after we're done with our flight.
It's why they have the cleaning crew, right?
But no, it's not. I mean, you have to.
I'm not saying you should make a mess. I'm saying you should be careful, and you should be, a good.
It doesn't sound like you're saying
passenger.
that. It sounds like you're saying, "Hey, you guys got somebody to clean up after me. I'm going to throw my stuff wherever I want."
You have to assume that with the plane, that many people on a plane and kids everywhere, that there's going to be a mess to clean up, which is why you have the cleaning crew to come in and make sure that it's okay for the next batch of messy people to come on.
It's why you have a cleaning crew, but you do have certain basic responsibilities, and this is what we've lost in these common spaces, to kind of manage your own area. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I spilled something. You know what? They'll get that. They've got a cleaning crew.
No.
You shouldn't spill it.
I don't.
And if you did spill it, you should try to,
That's right.
I mean, really, we'll be. By that logic, we'll just, we'll be waist deep in garbage because everybody goes, oh, the cleaning crew. I mean, I think back to this story. I mean, I know you're not saying that, but back to the story. I do think parents have to be more thoughtful about, what stuff they give their parents. I don't want to have to walk through the popcorn stuff as I walk out, or walk through the Cheez-Its or whatever else kids. It's not cool.
The goldfish. Yeah.
The goldfish. Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
It's true. And I'm the first one to be trying to clean it up, even though it probably is unnecessary because they have the cleaning crew. But I'm the first one to try to be, sweeping it up and putting it in a garbage bag or whatever, because kids are going to make a mess. That's just the way it is. As Albert said, don't give your kid popcorn or something messy on the plane.
I mean, I'll tell you, I would feel.
On the other hand,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. There's another hand. Okay.
There's no rule that says you have to clean it up, right? You're either a conscientious person or you're not. And sometimes I think people feel very like they're, like you said, like the cleaning crew will come up and clean it up after you, so you don't have to lift a finger.
There doesn't have to be a rule always.
Yeah.
We need to be able to behave in a public space that is shared by others. There doesn't always have to be a rule. I mean, there's not a rule. There probably is a rule against spitting at SFO indoors, okay? But I don't need to know that there's a rule to not spit as I walk down the concourse at SFO.
Obviously, there has to be a rule. You see people dumping garbage out of their car window on the freeway.
But
there has to be a rule because people are messy and they don't care.
Well, exactly my point. And I'm on the side of the flight attendants, not for making the pregnant woman get on her knees. Please don't misunderstand me. But to put the onus on the parents as to what their kids do. I mean, I don't like the idea that no one has responsibility and takes responsibility for the actions of themselves or their children. I mean, anyway. On the last story from Stories from the Sky, the airlines that have lost, damaged the most luggage are listed here. Mishandled luggage. This is up until January of 2023. Albert, does this... I think this list is current, so it'll be... Yeah. We should put a poll up on this. We should have thought of this. I would have liked a poll.
Yeah,
United,
I can do that right now. Yeah.
Can you? Okay. You can put these airlines in order from, or how do you do it? Just which one had the most?
It'll just be a generic poll. I can't just.
Okay. So if you're watching in replay, there's a poll up right now, or in a second from right now. Which airlines have damaged or mishandled the most luggage? Every airline, you should know this as a traveler, says it's important to report as soon as possible that your bags are missing or that your bags have been damaged. Depending on what happens to your bag, you may be eligible to be reimbursed by your airline. When it comes to damaged luggage on domestic flights, airlines are allowed to limit their liability in compensating you. Maximum is $3,800. But airlines are permitted to pay more than the federal limit. Most international flights, the maximum liability is $1,780. If your luggage is damaged, the airline is responsible for repairing it or reimbursing you for the damages. I've been in that situation before. They trashed a bag of mine with a hard shell exterior, and then it had a big, like a puncture in it. And she said this to me: absolutely, we'll get it repaired for you if you can leave it here. Now, it's filled with stuff, right? It's filled with my belongings. That's why I had the bag to begin with. She said, or if you want to bring it back. This is in Los Angeles. If you want to bring it back to this airport, we will see to it that it'll be repaired. Well, going to the airport is a giant pain in the A, right? I don't want to go down there. So I just thought, it's not worth it. How much is it to repair it or get another one? $150, something like that. It's just, But they will do it. So, Albert, is the poll up?
The poll is up. United's in the lead with 44% of the vote. So you can only vote once, but I just put which airlines has screwed over your luggage.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
So United, Southwest, Delta, and American. Southwest is overwhelmingly in the lead. Or United is. United is. Sorry.
United's in the lead. Okay. So United, Delta, American, Southwest. So here is the answer. So for those who are voting, You want to delay the answer, go ahead. But here it is. The airlines that have mishandled the most luggage in the last year. United is not number one.
Oh.
The top 5. Alaska is number 5. United is number 4. Delta is number 3. American is number 2. And the most mishandled or lost luggage is found on Southwest, everybody. That's right.
There's a surprise.
Southwest Airlines, yeah. 25,320,738 pieces of luggage. That's in that year, right, Albert? And then of that, 215,587 were mishandled.
Yeah, and there's quite the difference between the top 3 and to the 4 and 5.
That's right.
I mean, they're in the 20 millions in the top 3. I mean, Southwest has a free check bag policy, so you're more. I guess it's more bound to happen, but it does suck that it does happen. Free bag, but we might lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's free to check your bag, and you get what you pay for. That's Stories from the Sky for today.
This has been Stories from the Sky. The captain has turned off the seatbelt sign, and you are now free to move about the cabin.
I want to ask you, Albert, what do I do?
Well, Kim has to probably go now, and
Okay.
We have to say bye-bye first, but I think this video will be very, very fast. This pizza delivery, this is a clear getaway.
I gotta watch it. I have to watch it first.
Okay, this
The video is very
is a
self-explanatory.
pizza
So here's
delivery.
here are the
This
cops.
is a pizza delivery driver helping to nab a car thief. You're seeing it now. A 29-year-old driver for Coco's Pizza. This is in Delaware County. Here it is. The guy's running from the cops, and the pizza delivery guy sticks onto his foot and trips him. Wow.
The classic stick your foot out, you know?
Yeah. I honestly feel like I did what anybody else would do, the driver said. His name is Tyler. That kind of thing is, well, it's not that extraordinary. I think I just did what you're supposed to do in a situation like that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. He gets back from this delivery. It's like, hey, how did the delivery go? It's like, I just, I stopped the robber.
17-year-old suspect had that they were chasing had allegedly stolen a car.
The old tripperoo.
Yeah, the old tripperoo. Very, very well done. I love it. Well, I thank you, Albert, for having us run that. That was very, very good. I want to thank S. Thompson. How about a super sticker and a big shout out?
Big shout out.
Thank you, S. Thompson. Great name. Appreciate the super sticker, and thanks for the support. Do very much appreciate it. For $19.99, you guys who step up and support this show in all the different ways you do, it really does make a difference. As I say, we're crowd-funded. You can become a Patreon or PayPal supporter by going to themarkthompsonshow.com.
Speaking of Thompson, Klay Thompson and the Warriors are playing tonight at 7. So
yeah, come on, Dubs. Let's pull it together. Albert thinks you can right the ship. You dropped the first game to the Kings, Sacramento. Anyway, thanks everybody for helping us out. Kim is going over to Nikki's show, so she'll be there next.
I'll see you there. The Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
David K. Johnson, the Pulitzer Prize winner, joins us tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Till tomorrow. Bye-bye.